You're watching Screen Junkies News from San Diego Comic-Con. Presented by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Welcome to Comic-Con Day 3 right here at Screen Junkies News. And man, I am tired. It is Saturday night, people. We just got out of the Marvel panel. I am Roth Cornett, and I am joined joyously today by the two gentlemen that helped me get into this panel, Mr. Adam Havoc.
Hello. That was an adventure getting in there.
And Mr. Billy Business himself.
I would prefer to be called Spencer Legbert while I am here. I guess Billy Business will work, but yeah, that was an experience, but damn, it was fun.
It was so fun. This was a massive panel. We're going to be doing a couple of videos on this back to back to back. We will be talking about the Infinity War trailer that they revealed at D23. They showed it to us. They acted like they weren't, but then they did. They showed some concept art for Captain Marvel, all very exciting. But first, we want to start with Black Panther. They showed an extended sequence that they said they are not going to release. So this is a Comic-Con exclusive. And I got to say, for me, this won the night. It was amazing. We're going to break it down. We're going to tell you exactly what we saw. So if you just don't want to be spoiled at all from the movies, well, my friends, that is what we are going to do. So you have been warned. But how did you guys react to the footage? I was like this afterwards.
Yeah, it was remarkable. And I mean, we just got a trailer not that long ago.
Yeah.
So I went into it thinking they're not going to show another trailer. They're not going to show any other footage, maybe some behind the scenes stuff because we just got a trailer. Oh boy, I was way wrong. They really gave people a lot. And I wasn't expecting to see so much, but it was really nice to kind of see more scenes instead of just footage, to see kind of a build up and to see what Ryan Coogler is doing in terms of cinematography, the acting. Like, it was so beautifully crafted. It was really impressive.
This is already my #1 just from the level of talent that is attached to this film. But then everything that we see is proving to get us more and more excited. Billy, what do you think?
I was crazy because they first did the Thor stuff, and I was like, it's weird to put Black Panther after this because this just feels so big.
Totally different.
How is Black Panther going to stack up to this? And like you afterwards, I was like, oh my God, Black Panther above all else is now like the most anticipated movie. It looks so different. It looks so like sleek is like the word that kept popping up. I was like, this just looks like something I have to see like yesterday. I
felt the way I did after I saw Fury Road, which was for the first about minute and a half after I saw that film. My jaw was just on the floor and I said, what did I just watch? But I love it. Give it to me again. Let's break down what we saw. Some of this, you've seen bits of it in the trailers previously, but we got a deeper look. Now, I think you guys remember from the trailers that there was a quick sequence in which it looked like they were doing some kind of heist, right, in a club. That's not what's going on, as it turns out. Adam set it up for us. We're in a club. We know it's in Korea. Right. I know this from, we did a Marvel press day a while ago. Yeah,
well, this was a really cool sequence. This felt very 007. It's basically T'Challa, Okoye, and Lupita Nyong'o's character. Remind me of her name. I always forget her name.
Lupita Nyong'o's character. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, but they're basically in this casino, and the objective is that they're working with Martin Freeman's character, and you can see it right here on the screen. They're working with Martin Freeman's character, Everett Ross, to basically try to take down Ulysses Klaue, who's played by Andy Serkis. He's sort of on the selling vibranium on the black market. So I think they're trying to retrieve this piece of vibranium, and it seems like Ulysses Klaue doesn't know who Everett Ross is, which is interesting. And we see that he's got this fancy new arm.
Yeah, it was great.
Later we find out it's terrifying.
Well, it's funny because at first you think like, man, you have all this vibranium, you're rich. Yeah. That's the arm you went with. Like, that looks like a piece of crap. And then later on, we find out that it's definitely not a piece of crap. But I liked it. It almost felt like a Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Like you have Chadwick Boseman in that Tom Cruise role of like, all right, team, like, what are we doing?
It's very, very hidden, so Ulysses Klaue maybe doesn't recognize him.
Right. Exactly. And then just out of almost the blue, it's like, nope, this is turning into, like we saw in the footage, that little teeny snippet of her kicking ass. How it gets there is, I think we all saw it and we don't know, like, it just happened so fast.
It happened really quickly. So she's Nakia. So yeah, it looks like basically she's caught, right? And so all of a sudden she's got to get her weapon out. And I swear, look, she's wearing a dress. So where did it come from? It's got to be some kind of technology. And it's the wristband. And she basically
goes like this, and the whole spear comes out.
And a spear comes out.
It was amazing.
It's amazing. And And one thing that we learned from the panel that we already knew, of course, is that the technology is so far advanced, as we know, and that's why they are protecting their resources, not only the vibranium, but just the technology that they have available. You know, the idea here is that they need to know what's going on in the world, but they do not want the world to know what's going on with them. And of course, this is going to change. And we saw that a little bit in a scene in which Lupita says to him, hey, you need to figure out what kind of king you want to be, because he says we should be doing more. And we see, again, we saw a little bit of this in the trailer of him going into the UN. So they do hint at that and him bringing them out into the world. But there is a huge action set piece that they shot in Korea, and we did see some of this car chase. Let's talk about that. And his suit.
Goodness.
Oh boy.
So first of all, Stark definitely has his hand in helping out with that suit. He's running, and then like Power Ranger style, it just like, or Iron Man style, it just morphs onto him into his suit. It looked pretty like incredible. Like it sounds like it could come off as cheesy, but
it was
dope. It fit perfectly.
Well, and I think the interesting thing too is it feels very Stark, but I know that from the other trailers and from what Ryan Coogler has talked about, Wakanda is a very advanced nation.
This is true, right?
So it's I have a feeling that this is Wakandan technology, and I think that's what's interesting to see. The difference between Stark and T'Challa is like Stark is very much out there. He's a presence, whereas T'Challa and Wakanda are very much sacred and hidden. So I think we maybe sometimes would underestimate just how advanced they are technologically.
Yeah, we even got a second where we got to see some of like, it looks like the same room that we saw at the post-credit stinger for Civil War when they're putting Bucky back to sleep. It looked like there were some other suits around also, even like the classic necklace was just kind of hanging. That was pretty cool.
It's cool to see just like the history and the lineage of the Black Panther, because it's been passed down from generation to generation. So it's cool to see evidence of that.
We also do get to see a little more of another amazing suit, which is Killmonger's suit.
I was not, I mean, I wasn't surprised that they show it, but I even though I kind of knew it was coming, it still was like, whoa, that is awesome.
I had no idea that was coming, so that took me completely by surprise.
I figured if they were going to show something, they were going to go for it. But like when you just see them tangle and they kind of punching each other off that cliff, it was just like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
A lot of this, and like you guys were saying, it's a little unclear how much of this is training and how much we do see. We saw that shot in the trailer where he's coming out like this. We see an extended version of that. We see a sequence of him and Killmonger's like, it must be nice for you, hidden up here, you know, and which is, I thought, an interesting thing for him to say, right? Because I would have thought that one of his issues would have been like, he wants them to stay hidden.
Right. Well, and Michael B. Jordan talked a little bit on the panel. He talks about that one of the things that Eric Killmonger is very obsessive over is
he wants that throne.
He wants the throne. So I think seeing that training sequence, or maybe not even a training sequence, it's T'Challa having to prove that he is the superior one. And then him coming back is sort of him proving that I am the superior one who should be leading Wakanda. So really interesting.
Yeah, it looked like there was even a moment where it might have been a flashback, I'm not sure, where it looks like a bunch of warriors kind of training, and it kind of focuses in on a young boy when I think Forrest Whitaker's narration is going over it, talking about, you know, the lineage and what do you want to be. And I'm not sure if that's a flashback or what, but I definitely liked that idea. This whole trailer, this movie seems to be about like your destiny is not pre-written. What has come before does not necessarily mean is what has to happen with you. And I felt like that came through a lot in this trailer, which I like that. I feel like that's one thing Marvel hasn't done in one of their movies yet.
We also get to see a lot more of the space and sort of, we've seen a good amount of it so far in the releases, but this is a world that I really, really want to visit and be a part of. But I have to say that the way that they ended this sequence, they started out with the inciting incident of the action set piece. I want you guys to see this thing so much, because this is how it resolves. You tell it.
Oh boy. Well, so this is crazy action sequence.
Because they're really using him so well.
It's
okay,
crazy. Black Panther is on top of a car, and while he's trying to catch Ulysses Claw, he jumps on the side of a building and is running on the side of a building and jumps onto a car. It's like, it's the most insane thing I've seen since like Spider-Man, but with Spider-Man, it's believable because he's like, he's a spider. He has these abilities, he can stick to walls, but with Black Panther, it's so unexpected. You really just sit there with your jaw wide open. And then Danae Guerrera's character has the spear, She throws it into the road, just locks itself in, and when the car tries to get away with Ulysses' claw, hits the car and just spins out, and it's a really impressive.
Do you like my hand gestures? I'm helping.
I love the sound effects.
And when you think, like, add that now to the ending of the trailer that's public, it's like, what is that sequence going to look like? Holy cow.
Well, it sounded like they're going to try to hold this back for quite a little bit. But yeah, that's the basic thrust of what we saw in that footage. Any big takeaways for you guys from the footage and or the panel?
I just love the fact that someone who's not the most knowledgeable about Black Panther and Wakanda in that universe, everything that we've seen, it gives you an idea of who each character is. It focuses on Black Panther, but you also know a little bit about Eric Killmonger, Ulysses Claw, the Dora Milaje, kind of what is their role in T'Challa's universe. And I love seeing that. Seeing, you know, all three of those characters in that casino sequence is really cool because you can see that there's very much a reliance and sort of this community of people who have to really rely on each other to get through these missions.
Yeah, and the other thing that I liked about that sequence is that they weren't all on the same page about what to do.
Exactly.
And one of them got their way in terms of she was ready to throw down, and it happened. But yeah, I actually thought that was great to have a little bit of tension.
Yeah.
I think for me, like, the coolest thing just in general about the panel was, as someone who's never actually been in Hall H for a big presentation like that, right after the footage ended, Kevin Feige said, or maybe it was Chris Hardwick said, this is the first time the cast is seeing this footage. And, you know, they were emotional, and Chadwick Boseman getting emotional seeing this footage and them hugging and tears. Like, I started getting emotional. I understood kind of like the power, not just of Hall H, but like of what these movies mean to people, and especially what Black Panther is going to mean to a lot of people.
Well, and Ryan Coogler said it last year too. He said, when he came out on stage, he said, just a year or two ago, I was in the back. I was in the back of Hall H with everybody else watching stuff. Now I'm here on stage, and it's one of the most surreal things I've ever experienced. So it's really cool to see this character and to see Marvel just expand beyond Iron Man and the Captain Americas and do characters that might be obscure to general audiences, but really have can leave a huge footprint in these comic book universes.
Yeah, and let's not forget that a number of years ago, Iron Man was obscure to most audiences.
Exactly.
So here we are all these years later, and man, this movie looks so good. Thank you guys. I've been tracking the chat here a little bit, and a lot of Spider-Man talk, which is interesting on our Black Panther video. So,
you know, kind of.
So we will be talking about Spider-Man as well, and Infinity War and all the other things that Marvel revealed to us tonight. Thank you for sticking with us and my own tired brain and tracking the computer and space and things.
Time
you
to
guys,
shut down.
I am a life model decoy of myself at this point. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for having the brain tonight. And thank you guys. Stick with us here at Screen Junkies News for all things Comic-Con.
This episode was presented by T-Mobile, America's